I've had the opportunity to ride a lot of different electric bicycles the past couple months, but this is the most unique of them all. It feels completely different, and getting from this bike onto one of the others with a more traditional, well, bicycle shape, I guess, it's wild. It does honestly, for me, feel like a downgrade. Now, that is just me. This bike, just right off the bat, is definitely not for everyone. In fact, I don't completely know who it's for. The majority of e-bikes that you buy are going to be limited to about 15.5 miles per hour, as this is the limit for electric bicycles in, I think, Europe. However, in the United States, that limit for e-bikes is up to 28 miles an hour. So what you can do is unlock it digitally so that it goes 28 miles an hour, but it's still a legal electric bicycle. This is because the motor is 750 watts or less, and it has pedals like a traditional bike. So if you took pedals off of an e-bike and put pegs, like say a motorcycle, you would no longer be able to ride it in places that you can ride a regular bicycle necessarily. The HappyRun, however, does not need to be unlocked to go 28 miles an hour. In fact, it's advertised to go 38 miles an hour. And I genuinely did not believe this. I just recently posted an unboxing and assembly, and I was literally like, this is crazy if it can actually do this. Also, the motor is not 750 watts or less. It's advertised 1,000 with a 2,000 maximum power. It does feel faster than the other e-bikes I've been on, but I have trouble believing it has 2 whole kilowatts in this motor. The HappyRun also has 2 batteries, which is a new experience for me. I have not had this in any of the other e-bikes. And for reference, this is the 4th e-bike. It's the 3rd video I'm posting. I'm posting them out of order. Long story short, all the others, they're relatively similar. They share a lot of parts. They share similar tires and wheels. They have similar seats. They have similar acceleration and throttles. But this one just all around is not like the others. So last week I joined my parents at the beach. So I took the HappyRun along with 2 other bikes I've made videos on, that being the Fido and the Ingui. And they all came to the beach with us. It was not the easiest thing to get there. Even just getting it around town, I had to build a custom trailer mount to hold these bikes because they cannot go on a regular bike holder, and they do not fit in most vehicles, especially if you're taking more than one. And it was kind of the perfect experience for this setting. I hardly got in a car the entire week because this is a more bikeable, as well as walkable town, but most people either use bike or golf cart to get around this island that I was at. And not only did we use these bikes to get around, but I took the HappyRun about 70 miles on this trip just on my own because I was having so much fun on it. It's pretty fast. The speed limits in this town are between 20 and 35 miles an hour, and I was able to get this HappyRun to touch 40 miles an hour. Now, you can definitely buy things with 2 wheels that go faster than 40 miles an hour. However, for an electric bicycle that has pedals, 40 miles an hour is kind of crazy. For example, the Fido I have, I was able to get it to go, I think it touched 34 or 35 miles an hour, which is essentially the same as the 38 to 40 as the HappyRun. The difference is I feel like I'm gonna die because going fast on one of these other bikes that has very minimal suspension, it just doesn't feel like it should be going that fast. But on the HappyRun, the form factor and the shape and the weight, as well as the suspension, makes me actually feel very confident. Meanwhile, I'm kind of death gripping a regular bicycle if I'm going over 20. It just doesn't feel quite right, and I can feel every bump. It's easy for the wheel to get out from under me and turn. Granted, maybe I'm just not a great bicyclist, but the HappyRun was very confidence-inspiring, which made it a much more enjoyable experience because I was focused on the ride more so than just my safety. Now, granted, I did have more gear on than I usually do while riding bikes. I had wrist straps on because when I do fall off of bikes and say the one wheel, I have a habit of putting my hands out, and so I, to avoid breaking my wrists, until I learn to roll properly, I just wear the wrist guards. Now, having this extra gear on, I guess kind of fits the look of it. You stand out a lot on the HappyRun. It is super attention seeky, and that's coming from me. I like the kind of standout bit, like get people to kind of turn their head, be like, oh, that's interesting, or that's cool, or that's ugly. Unfortunately, the HappyRun design is not a design that I like. It's almost there. It seems to be designed after like a vintage bike of some sort. This HappyRun would be like the best thing ever if it looked like, say, a Sur-Ron, which they probably could have done. I think they could have done it in any form factor. They just chose to go this vintage style route, which just doesn't fit me. I don't like how it looks. I've asked a few people. Some people think it looks cool. I brought the HappyRun with me to the dump as I was just taking garbage. It was in the trailer because I was gonna take it on a ride afterwards and get footage. And at the dump, the guys working there were like going crazy for it. They thought it was the coolest thing they've ever seen. They had a ton of questions. They even inquired about pricing and where to buy one. So I guess I should have given them my coupon code, which I think is GoHerping5, where you get 5% off. But they genuinely seemed extremely interested in this bike. But these guys were older. They were probably in their 50s, maybe 60s. And I guess we don't have the same style of bike in mind, because I see it and I'm like, wow, this is really like this is kind of ugly, honestly. However, I think I can fix this up a bit by blacking it out. I want to remove all of the yellow and the brown if I can, because this has been a bike that I've ridden just entirely for fun and not just to make a video or two on. I have consistently been riding this almost every day. Now, a lot of this is subjective. Another example is to turn the bike on, it requires an NFC keycard. You switch a battery on, the power turns on, the display turns on. However, you have to tap that keycard every time you turn the bike off. This means that when I go on rides, I have to bring my wallet in order to bring the keycard, because it has, like I said, 2 batteries. So if one battery dies, you switch it to the other battery. Now, I tested this while riding, and you can actually change batteries in the process. I watched another guy's review and he said you couldn't, but if you flip it fast enough, the HappyRun does not notice you switched batteries and it continues riding as normal. However, if you don't switch it quickly enough, or if one battery completely dies, and I did purposely drain a battery to 0 just out of curiosity, it'll just slow down, it'll stop, the screen will turn off, and then you switch to the second battery, but you have to tap that key card again. What I also do not like is the display. It's impossible to see in the sunlight. I can't see my speed. The screen is so bad. I can't read any of it. It looks like it's not even on in the sun. So in the GoPro, you can tell it's on, but when you're actually on the bike, I can't see anything. I don't know my speed. I don't know what the battery's at. I don't know my trip mileage. It's just too dim. The other issue, which don't worry, we'll talk about good stuff too, but this is probably an important one. In the unboxing video, we noticed that the wheel looked not circular. However, they shipped the bike with deflated tires, so I thought maybe I just need to inflate them and they'll kind of even out, but they still had this slight oval shape. And so at low speeds, the bike will bounce a little bit. Mostly in the front wheel, but also in the rear. Granted, there's more weight on the rear since I'm sitting closer to that side. However, the front will very slightly bounce as I'm riding. But as I speed up, that bouncing slows down and basically stops existing. So once I'm going 30 plus miles an hour, even 20 plus, the bike is not bouncing. It feels very smooth. My suspicion, however, is similar to driving a car with square tires, which sounds ridiculous. And when you start driving a car with square tires, I think this was on Mythbusters.
But as Jamie accelerates, the ride seems to get smoother.
However, that does not mean that you have good traction. What I suspect is happening is this wheel genuinely seems messed up. The weird thing is both of them seem messed up. Not only because there's two rubber colors. There's a brown rubber and a black rubber. The brown and black rubbers don't seem to align perfectly in the center, so I suspect this adds an illusion that the wheel is even less circular as it actually is. But we thought it might just be the difference in color, like an inconsistent rubber, but it really does feel lopsided while I ride it, which I say that as I'm going like 38 miles an hour, but like the wheel looks messed up. And I've ridden it probably like 40 miles already, and it bounces the whole time and it doesn't seem that stable. Why am I still riding so fast? I don't know, because it's fun. So I can't say for sure on whether this affects the safety, but I will just say personally, I was wondering if I need to stop very suddenly or if I make a sharp turn, do I even have the traction for this? Because I feel like my wheel isn't always on the ground. I would also be curious, I have not ridden this in rain. Honestly, I don't think e-bikes do too great in rain. Ideally, they don't really get wet, but you know, I'd still be curious to try it if it hasn't rained in forever, so I haven't gotten to try it. But I do want to get back to the good, because the simple and most important, maybe not most important, one of the most important bits is just the fun factor. I had so much fun on this. I was like smiling pretty much the entire time. I'm just like actively verbally giggling because I'm like, this is so cool. I'm having so much fun. This is the best electric powered thing I've ever ridden off-road. So yes, there's probably better electric dirt bikes out there, maybe some sort of ATV or something with 4 wheels, but it feels very good off-road. I don't know how fast I'm going. And as someone who doesn't know how to mountain bike really, or how to ride on trails, I was able to go I was going 18 plus miles an hour on very soft, very uneven, and loose surfaces like dirt, gravel, grass. And I tried it on sand, but it does not like sand, so that's not too much of a surprise. I have these issues with it, but I just keep coming back to the fact that it's really fun. There is, however, the issue of where do I have the fun? I was shooting a lot of this footage in places I should not have been riding this bike. I was riding it on walking pads, and a lot of the off-road bits, because I have no trails near me for dirt bikes, I only have mountain bike trails and like walking trails. I took it on a frisbee golf course, which was luckily empty, but I mean, I imagine the golfers would have been pissed if they saw me. I was having the time of my life zipping around from golf hole, what's it called? Frisbee golf hole? But you know, I probably shouldn't do that consistently. I'll probably get caught if I'm continually taking it to a frisbee golf course. On road, yes, it worked on the island I was at because the speed limits are so low. And in fact, I was occasionally passing traffic, and ultimately traffic, yes, a few cars would pass me, say they wanted to go 40 or so in a 35, maybe 45 in a 35, they would pass, and everyone was passing safely. But the majority of the time, I would just hop into traffic, and no vehicles were even slightly inconvenienced by my presence on the main road. I do not like riding on main roads. I do prefer the pads and stuff. And when my parents were riding with me, they never really took the e-bikes over 15 to 20 miles an hour. At one point, my mom hit 18. I think she hit 21. She claims she didn't pass 20 miles an hour. But either way, our cruising speed was about 10 to 15 miles an hour. Because they weren't there to try and like get any adrenaline or see how fast the bike goes. They just wanted to cruise around the beach on their vacation. It's hard to figure out where to ride this thing, is basically what I'm saying. I can't ride it on any main roads around my house. I will die and also go too slow, and it just doesn't seem that fun. I would love to take it to a mountain bike trail. I would definitely get yelled at and upset people, but because it's more of a dirt bike, it's not really intended for those tight turns and stuff, but I will see what it can do there. And it's not practical compared to other e-bikes. It's not made to haul cargo or to put a kid on the back or to go camping or to get groceries. It's really just intended to have fun on, and luckily that's what I'm after. That's why, since getting the HappyRun, I have not touched any of the 3 other e-bikes in my garage, because this one is just exactly what I like. It's fun, and that's it. It's fun. My goal is to have fun. With that said, there is actually a really neat cargo section just underneath the seat. It can hold quite a bit. I was actually able to throw camera gear as well as a water bottle in that, and it stayed pretty sturdy, so I do like the storage on the HappyRun. Yeah, it's not as much as you can shove on the back of a cargo style bike, but also this is more fun than a cargo style bike. Okay, now we've been focusing on the fun a lot, but what about the biking aspect? Well, biking on it sucks. I don't enjoy pedaling on this. I kept asking myself in the video, why did they put pedals on this? This bike needs pegs. Well, it's probably because you will get in even more trouble with local law enforcement and whiny people on pads if there's pegs on it, because it looks even less like a bicycle and even more like a dirt bike. I think the only reason pedals are there are A, so that they can call it a bicycle, and B, so that you get that longer range estimation. They estimate that this bike will go 130 miles on a charge, and that is insane if true. I can't confirm this because I hardly pedaled. The only time I pedaled on this bike was to, well, record it. and it sucks. The pedals are in a very bizarre position. My legs are too spread from one another, and it's heavy. It's huge. It's like you're pedaling this 100+ pound bike. Now that's what pedal assist is for, which kicks in electricity as you pedal, but still, it just sucks pedaling on this bike. So I did not pedal on this bike at all. I've pedaled maybe a quarter mile total in the like 80 to 100 miles that I've put on it, and doing that has reduced my range. So I would estimate that I can go about 40 miles if I just throttle, pretty much full throttle, which, you know, that's a big difference from 130 miles. But to do that at 30 miles an hour consistently, to me, is very impressive. 40 miles is very good for that. And keep in mind, I'm light. I'm under 120 pounds. So if you are 150, 175, or 200+ pounds, you're probably not going to get as much range. Also, it may not go quite as quickly. You might lose a couple miles an hour. However, it does have I'm very satisfied with the range is what I'm saying. For example, when I was with my parents and we were all going 10 to 15 miles an hour, I didn't even lose a single bar on a single battery. There's 2 batteries with 5 bars each to show how full it is, so each bar is 20%, or 10% if you count both batteries, and I burned maybe 10% battery on pretty long rides with them because we were at lower speeds. It's also much easier to maintain a speed on this bike because instead of a weird little button you press with your thumb to accelerate, it's an actual twist throttle like a traditional motorcycle, and this is very cool to me. Now, there is some risk here. For example, my dad did the kind of classic accidentally twist the throttle when you're getting on and then the bike just shoots out from under you. And this is not a very powerful bike, but it can still throw you to the ground and get away from you. So it is ultimately just a weird hybrid between a modern electric dirt bike, a more classic electric bike, and it has the style of a vintage bike. It's like the company told the engineers, just, you know what, just make it seem like a bike, but do whatever you want with it. I feel like that's what they did, and here's your budget to do it. If I was the engineer, I would have made it look like a more modern dirt bike. I would have taken the pedals off, but I accept that they probably needed the pedals on there so that they could classify it as an e-bike instead of an actual vehicle. And you can probably just take the pedals off and put pegs on yourself, which I might do. But it's just, ultimately, my biggest complaint comes down to the style. Everything else I could kind of look past, like the not very good screen. And ultimately, I think I would not buy this bike for myself, but only because of the style. I love riding it. I love everything else about it. It's just not the bike that I want to be on, I guess, because it just doesn't fit my personality. Again, I might be able to fix this a bit by changing the colors of the bike, which I will happily do, hopefully in a future video. I do also have that concern with the wheels because they do not feel stable enough. In fact, I forgot to mention, the bike does not balance itself at all. There's never been a bike that I get on that I can't just ride with no hands on the handle. I mean, I do it in videos all the time. I've live streamed on bikes where I have one camera in one hand and my phone in the other. I can turn without my hands. I can maintain speed without my hands. But on the HappyRun, the moment I let go of the handlebars, the bike just falls to one side. And this might also just be because the wheel is seemingly unstable. There is the question of, did I assemble it incorrectly? Because I've had trouble with some of the ones in the past. I honestly don't think I did. I feel like I now have the experience to know if something's wrong with the assembly. Also, there's no other glaring issues, and you could see that the wheel looked weird straight out of the unboxing video. So I don't think it's user error here. I think it is just something wrong with the bike, because it just, yes, it feels comfortable and I love the suspension. It's just not quite as stable as I feel like it should be, but maybe this could be fixed. Even if this is how the wheels are supposed to be, I wonder if I could switch the wheels out for something that's aftermarket. I don't know, I'm curious. But you can probably tell I have a lot of ideas with this bike, and that's because I do actually really like it. And I would say ultimately I do recommend it if you like the style. That's just my biggest hang-up. I'm like, man, why does it have to look like this? The big chunky headlight, which by the way is incredibly bright, and I can see very well at night, but cars kept flashing at me because they couldn't see, like I was actually blinding people. I can adjust where the light points, so it points more down and away from driver's eyes, but then I can't really see, so yeah, there's that. It has turn signals, which is crazy. I've never had a bike with turn signals. There's also that big chunky battery up top. There's a battery underneath as well. And this is clearly just an exact design based on a vintage bike. However, I will say that I mentioned this in the unboxing too. It looks like somebody cut the battery with a knife. Now, the battery itself is not punctured or anything. It's just the casing. It looks like someone took an X-Acto knife and just cut it down the center. And it's not from me unboxing it. It was fully protected, so it looks like someone in the factory scratched it. And so this is a good time to say that if I purchased this with my own $1,700, which is the total price, there is no shipping cost to me, in the United States, at least. There's also no tax. It's literally just $1,700 charged to your card. If I paid that, I would have picked a different color if they had one, but the only other color they have is this ridiculous American flag design. But I would have asked for a new top battery because there was that cut in it, so it just looks bad. So I would describe the HappyRun as the almost perfect bike so far of the ones that I've tried for people that just want to have fun and go both on and off-road at not crazy high speeds, not 50, 60, 70, 100, 200 miles an hour on something with two wheels. But if you want to have some fun and zip around town or zip on off-road trails, I guess zip off-road, under 40 miles an hour. It honestly feels pretty good at max speed, and yes, it burns through battery like crazy at max speed, but what do you expect? That's anything. I mean, same with a Tesla. If I drive it at max speed, I'm going to run out of battery in like 50 miles. It's just part of the electric experience. But the HappyRun G100 tank, I had to remember the name, is a very cool bike, and I am so happy that I got to try it out. Can I go through here? Where did this go? Oh, I cannot make it over that. What the hell is this? This is ridiculous. Like on road, it's like, okay, this is cool. It's not like crazy fast, but off-road, it's like, what is going on? I didn't know this was back here. I saw a little trail, so I was like, let's see where it goes. Oh. I would not be able to do this on any other bike that I've ever ridden. So sure, I'm sure there's more capable bikes than this, but none that I've been on. Alright, this is just like flat out greenery. It is linked below. You can use my code GoHarping5 to get 5% off. If you're actually thinking of buying it, I would say maybe wait till an upcoming video of mine where I get a response on the wheel. See if that's a defect with my own, or if that's how it's meant to be. If it's a defect, that's a little bit bothersome because they sent it with a defect, and that's not good. And if it's supposed to be like that, that's concerning because the bike bounces a lot when I ride it, and it just doesn't feel quite safe enough to necessarily recommend to people who, like you, could hop on this, be like, oh, well, Alex said I should buy this, and then you end up hurting yourself. That would suck. It's been so much fun to do these bike videos. Thank you to HappyRun for sending it, and I'm having a ton of fun. I'm gonna keep riding this for my own, just because I love riding it, and I will continue filming as things happen. So that'll be it. If you want to see my other bike videos, I think this is number 6. I do 2 videos on each bike currently. This is the 3rd bike I've done videos on. This is a 4th one I'm currently editing, as well as a few more bikes on the way, so hopefully you're enjoying them. There's an unboxing for each and then a ride of each. But that'll be it. So I'm Alex, and thanks for watching.